Welcome to HBOT Journal, a channel dedicated to understanding hyperbaric oxygen therapy through evidence, science, and experience.
When people first hear about hyperbaric oxygen therapy, the description they usually get is pretty simple. It's just oxygen inside a chamber. And, at a glance, that feels about right. But what if that simple description leaves out almost everything that actually defines the therapy? Well, today we're going to deconstruct that very idea.
The whole story seems to start and end right here, with this one very familiar component, oxygen. I mean, the air we're all breathing right now is about 21% oxygen. So it's totally natural to just assume that oxygen is the only active ingredient here. But is that really what's going on?
Is that really the whole story? Today, we're going to dig into the framework that makes this therapy work. And what you'll see is that it's the structure, not just the oxygen, that truly defines the whole thing.
So here's our roadmap. We'll walk through how the environment is really the defining factor, what pressure actually does, why time is a structural element, the critical role of constant monitoring, why function matters way more than appearance, and then finally how all these pieces click together to form a complete system.
All right, let's start with the environment. We've already said oxygen is a key part of this, but here's where things get interesting. What truly makes hyperbaric therapy distinct isn't just the oxygen itself, it's the carefully controlled environment that's created around it. So check out this comparison. On the left, that's us, just breathing normally at 1 ATA. That's atmosphere's absolute, which is just the normal pressure we're all in at sea level. But now look to the right at the hyperbaric environment. We're talking 100% oxygen at a pressure greater than 1 ATA, all within defined conditions and under continuous supervision. It's the combination of all these things that makes it a therapy.
Okay, now let's tackle the most misunderstood component of all, pressure. It's not just some add-on or a decorative feature. It is a fundamental piece of the entire structure, and it definitely doesn't work the way most people imagine.
The common idea, the misconception, is that pressure actively pushes oxygen into the body. And yeah, that language is pretty intuitive, but it's also really misleading. The physical principle is that pressure changes the availability of oxygen. It's fundamentally altering the conditions of the environment itself.
And this explains exactly how. So, under normal conditions, oxygen travels by latching on to red blood cells. But under increased pressure, more of that oxygen can dissolve directly into the liquid part of your blood, the plasma. This creates a whole second pathway for oxygen to travel through the body, all based on a simple law of physics.
This is really the crucial point to get. Pressure is not an action, it's a condition. It's equal in all directions, it doesn't target specific areas, it works passively and predictably just by changing the physical environment.
This brings us to another key structural element, time. People often ask, why does a session take so long? And the answer is that time isn't an inconvenience. It's a planned and totally essential part of ensuring control and safety.
A session always follows a very controlled profile. The pressure is increased gradually during what's called compression. Then it's held steady during the main treatment phase, and then it's decreased just as slowly during decompression. The body simply needs time to safely adjust to these changes.
And that's exactly why rushing is totally counterproductive. The goal isn't intensity, it's all about consistency, stability, and control. Time is what makes that precision possible.
Now, let's talk about something you might not even see, but is absolutely critical. The continuous monitoring that happens during every single session. This is the human element, and it's what ensures both safety and control. An HBOT session is never a set-it-and-forget-it kind of process. As you can see here, the environment, the pressure, and the person inside are all being watched without a single interruption. Communication is constant, and operators can adjust or even stop the session at any moment. This kind of supervision isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a fundamental requirement.
So modern chambers can look pretty impressive, right? Sleek, acrylic, almost futuristic. But it's so important to understand that what a chamber looks like isn't what defines its safety or its function. The things that really matter are the systems working behind the scenes. How is the pressure controlled? How are emergencies handled? How well are the staff trained? A polished design doesn't make a chamber any safer if these functional systems aren't locked down. In HBOT, design is there to support function, not the other way around.
So, this is the core idea to take away from all this. HBOT isn't just a chamber or an oxygen mask. It's a fully integrated system where every single one of these components is necessary.
This system includes pressure control, oxygen handling, that planned time element, human supervision, and really clear safety procedures and limits. If you take away any one of these elements, you are just not describing hyperbaric oxygen therapy anymore. Now, understanding this structure also means understanding its boundaries. This does not mean more pressure is better, or that longer sessions are safer. It doesn't mean oxygen alone creates the results. And it's not some magic bullet that can bypass biology or override medical judgment. In fact, this structure exists precisely because those limits are real.
Which brings us right back to where we started. After breaking all this down, what's the real answer to our original question?
Well, oxygen is definitely a part of it. Of course it is. But it's the structure, the controlled pressure, the planned time, the constant monitoring, and the clear safety protocols that truly defines it. These are the elements that turn a simple gas into a regulated medical process. Ultimately, this is a field where safety is never, ever an afterthought, and it's essential to remember that different designs exist for different contexts and always under appropriate supervision.
To continue learning, explore the HBOT Journal channel.